Greetings everyone, welcome to Chess Advanced. This the second rapid game of day 3 where Vishisa has to bounce back and try to gain those level up the scores and try to gain those 4 points. And now with the white pieces, first game was drawn that I showed on my channel. Now this is the second game. Let's see what happens here. So without further ado, let's start with this game. Here just going for b3. We have b6, f4 and d5. Now we have knight to f2, c5, e3 and just knight to c6, and here bishop to b2 was played. We have knight to g6, knight to c3 and just d4 immediately. D4 is a very nice inclusion to this. You could play knight to b5, you could play knight c to e4, you could play knight to e2. Here knight to e2 was played and just e5. So definitely just trying to strangle the king a little bit. Here just f caps on e5 was played, and you could go for this knight captures here, but the thing is that after e captures, c captures, you'll have to face this knight captures, or even better, you can just castle in this position, and after this bishop to d6, bishop captures, castles, knight to g3, and here just queen to b8, and your position would be absolutely fine. Does seem like white king is a little bit loose, but not really, because you can see that the bishop is already eyeing this. Knight can get into the game. All you have to do is get the bishop here, and the bishop here would be completely operational, and somewhere along the line you're going to regret having this kind of position. So here after f caps on e5, we have knight to b4, not just capturing that pawn. That pawn is a poison pawn. Here just castles, going for queenside castle, d caps on e3, we have d captures and rook captures. Now just going for this knight captures, bishop to e7, just developing the bishop to just pawn to a3, pushing the knight back, knight to c6 and knight to f4. Just knight caps on f4 was played. You could go for this move with bishop to g4, not trading more pieces, but you're gonna have to just recapture after knight captures, or you could go for this e6, and e6 is a beautiful move in this position. The trouble is f6, if you try to play and try to close off the position, then just comes knight to f2, attacking the bishop. Now after knight caps on f4, you don't recapture on f4, but first you capture with knight captures on g4, and after knight to g6, most likely what you'll see is bishop to c4, and you can see that the bishop pair is eyeing all the way through, and it's very difficult to try and do anything in this position. It's just you're gonna have to be stuck on the back foot for the rest of the game, and definitely not something you want to do. So here after knight to f4, we have knight captures on f4, just trading that is the best move in the position, and we have e captures on f4, just castles, bishop to d3, and now just rook to d8. So definitely just developing those pieces and getting them to the perfect squares. Knight to e3 was played, knight to d4, bishop captures, c captures, and just knight to c4. You must be wondering why give up the bishop pair so early on. Well, the thing is that situation called for it, because your bishop would have stayed there for the rest of the game. The knight on d4 would have been a spectacular piece. It's normally good to actually trade the pieces that are much more active, rather than the pieces which are not that active in the position that was that bishop. So here queen to c6 was played. Now just comes king to b2, and here bishop to e6 just seems like a natural in this position, because after queen to c1, you play queen to c5, and after king to b1, bishop caps on c4. You have to trade that knight. That knight is a very powerful piece. Bishop captures, queen caps on a3, and after trading everything, you get this position where you do have the central pawn. There is an isolated pawn, and this structure is very decent, but the thing is that most likely still the position does not have that much in the position to be able to try and go for a win. And but with rapid games drawn, I think you know where the result is going, and most likely then Vishisa would not have any chances. So after king to b2, he goes for b5, and b5 is a nice move here in this position. Knight to d6 was played. We have bishop captures, e captures, queen captures, and now just going for queen to e1. So just getting that queen very active. We have queen captures on f4, queen to e7, and just queen to d6 was played in this position. And you can see that slowly bar is shifting towards the white side, and it's preferring the white side in this position. And the thing is that if you go for queen captures here after rook captures, your position just becomes a little bit better. Yes, rook to e1 comes, bishop to d7, you just defend the pawn, and you also defend the mate. That's threatened here. But the thing is that this endgame, if anyone can try to do anything, it's definitely white. But you don't have to trade the queen. So here after queen to d6, we have queen caps on a7, just grabbing that complete clean pawn, and those pawns are going to be pushed. Although it looks like you don't want to push the pawn towards your king, but where is the attack? There is no attack in the position, and that's the problem. And here in this position, bishop to d7 was played. Now just comes, if you start with h4 in this position, your position is just marvelous. That's the best one recommended by the engine. And after g6, now you just play rook to f1, f5. Yes, it looks scary because you do have a light squared bishop, but currently you cannot do anything with it. Here rook to d1, now just comes bishop to c6, rook to e1, bishop to e4, and finally just trading everything. And although you could capture this, but you would give me a little bit of counterplay. After rook captures, I would play d3, and then you have to understand that, always giving your opponent a little bit of counterplay could lead to disaster somewhere along the line. So maybe queen to b7, but queen to b7 is a passive move. You'll see e3, and you don't want to allow e3. So that's why that was better. But still, this game, maybe, I mean, white is the one better after that. But still, here after bishop d7, rook to e1 was played. Now just comes g6, we have g3, king to g7, and rook to e4. Finally, we have bishop to c6, rook to e7, and just rook to d7, just asking for a trade. We have rook captures, bishop captures, queen to b7, and it looks like, I mean, white looks like white is better, because you don't have any pawns towards this side. And once that single pawn falls, I mean, you'd have nothing here. Bishop to c6 was played. Now just comes queen to b6, and just queen to d5, just removing the queen from the pin. We have b4. Now h5 comes, but finally queen to c5, and if you trade queens, you instead lost. So here queen to d7 was played, h4, f6, and just a4. That move was begging to be played. We have b caps on a4, king to a3, and just f5, trying to push those pawns towards the queen side, but it's a very highly unlikely you'll be able to do anything here. b5 was played. Now just comes bishop to e4, b6, bishop to c6, and just going for this queen to e5 check, king to h7, and here queen to c7 was played. And it was on this move, on just move 40, that the five times world champion and absolute legend Vishy sir resigned the game, because there is nothing to be done in this position. If you trade here, then you just get a free pass pawn. Yes, you can get the bishop here, but I can get the bishop there too, and most likely I would be queening and getting a new queen into the game, or most likely you'd be going a piece down, and then I can win this game. So there is not much you can do. Even if you don't trade the queens, you just sit idly. It's just that you're just just a pawn down, and that pawn has reached a bit too far, and there is no way you'll be able to stop that. So that's why here Vishy sir resigned the game, and now the lead has amassed a bit too much, and I don't think so here Vishy sir could actually get back in the game. But we'll still cover the two blitz game. Let's see what happens there. So yeah, thank you for watching. I'll be coming back with such amazing games, so stay tuned to the channel, stay updated, and I'll be seeing you guys very, very soon. Thank you very, very much for watching.